A lot of creators are quietly becoming irrelevant without even realizing why. If your value proposition is based on what AI can already do cheaper and faster, then you're standing on very shaky ground. But the future doesn't have to be so bleak for creators, and I'll tell you why. In this video, I'm going to break down what areas AI has already taken over from creators, but also what it still cannot replace, and how your content can stay valuable and relevant. And trust me, if you miss this shift, you will miss out big because the gap is getting wider day by day. My name is Jem. I'm a YouTube talent manager, producer, and entrepreneur with 20 years of business experience under his belt. So let's get into it. If you've been creating content for a while now, whether it's written or in video form, you'll probably start to feel that there's nothing left for humans creators anymore. And especially constantly hearing how the future of certain careers are on the line is nerve-wracking to say the least. Let me paint you a picture and see if it sounds familiar. You're trying to come up with content ideas and are staring at your notes. You go through a list of how-to videos that you want to shoot forever, and the prospect of making these videos excite you because they feel easy pickings. It's a topic that you're already quite familiar with, and creating these videos is going to be a breeze for you. Then you start posting your videos, but also start noticing something. You're not getting the views that you're accustomed to and can't really pinpoint what's going on. Slowly but surely, you get demoralized and your video frequency starts dropping. Nothing you do sticks and you're left yearning for your old view counts and you don't know how to proceed. By the time you realize that you have just simply been outcompeted by AI, it's just too late. That's exactly what happened with niche blogs and websites. But the situation does not have to be that bleak, as I said before. I will break down content into separate layers and do a full analysis of each one, explaining where you should divert your focus to improve your chances of survival against AI. But first, I will start with a deep dive into the most frequently thrown around term when it comes to weathering the AI storm: authenticity. You will hear a lot of advice on authenticity being key to weather the coming AI storm for content creators, which is great advice, but often the term authenticity itself is left poorly defined. We hear authenticity this, authenticity that, but what is it really? I'll give you a more precise definition with examples when we deconstruct the layers of content, but let me first illustrate why authenticity matters. When AI first started showing what it was capable of, with early image generation models like Midjourney and DALL-E, and even with the earlier offline LLM models like GPT 2.0, we were all amazed at what AI could accomplish. The wow effect was definitely real. It was so real that with the speed of developments in the AI space, the idea that AI will replace Hollywood actors and special effects studios started being echoed. After a while though, the novelty started wearing off. From things like the vlogging Sasquatch or the survivalist gorillas or Jesus Christ filming the Last Supper with a selfie stick were fun while they lasted, but they got old really fast. I mean, they didn't even survive for a month. And now the internet is flooded with so much low-effort AI-generated content that we coined a term for it and are now calling most of it AI slop. However, audiences have come circling back seeking the human touch again. They seek authenticity and they reject the synthetic. We as a species have already started seeing AI as a competitor species. Just like how our migrating ancestors have felt when they encountered the Neanderthals and the Denisovans, the same instincts are starting to kick in. But the thing is, we've seen this happen before. I mean, none of this is new. The reason YouTube came to be, to begin with, was because TV just felt too inauthentic. From teenagers filming their own stunts and pranks to daily vlogs, YouTube simply felt more relatable and familiar. Then, when monetization became a thing, productions started becoming larger and larger and eventually crossing a certain boundary, making the content feel inauthentic again, which gave rise to the popularity of podcasts. It felt like sitting down with your friends in silence and just listening into their conversations. The familiarity of those talking with the familiarity of the situation just felt really warm and cozy, you know? Now, with the rise of AI, which already comes with deeply rooted trust issues towards the synthetic, and I'm not talking about the Terminator or the Matrix or Battlestar Galactica kind of distrust, but although the portrayal of AI in popular media doesn't really help AI's case, people will go for the authenticity factor again. However, presenting the authenticity as the only way content creators can battle against AI takeover is just quite demoralizing. If you only have one tool in your arsenal to battle against uncertainty, that's going to cause stress. I'm here to tell you that while authenticity is important, there are other factors that you can improve upon to claim back your content strategy. I don't think AI is changing content in one big, vague way. I think it is changing which parts of content still have value and which parts are starting to become cheap. You as a creator have to adapt to this paradigm shift. You have to break the concept of content down and analyze it like a product. Now hang on with me here. Let's just get through the theory and then I will tell you exactly what you need to do and it will just all make sense, I promise. There's a reason a lot of products are made in China or made in Mexico. In industrial scale production, there's a concept called Bill of Materials, or BOM for short. It's also called product recipe. Take home appliance items as an example. For a washing machine to be made, you have to acquire several separate intermediate products, such as a big tub made of metal or a glass bowl for front loader types, You need a water pump, piping, electronics, and so forth. And all these items are listed in the BOM. Now, each item has a value of its own because each item requires a separate specialized factory to produce them. For that to happen though, you need land, equipment, energy, raw materials, and probably most importantly, labor. Once you acquired all these parts separately, then you need to assemble them in yet another factory which makes the product ready for shipping. And I'm not even getting into the logistics of shipping, distribution, storage, and sales operations yet. Now, what does this have to do with AI, you might ask? There's a good payoff in the end. I'm getting there, I promise. Now, if you manage to acquire any number of these things that I just mentioned for less, that immediately feeds back into the overall cost of production. You may source raw material for cheap. You may replace manual labor with machines and robotics. You may even get customs or tax exemption on a small, seemingly insignificant piece, which at scale creates huge benefits. But there are some components that simply cannot be made cheaper. Take lithium-ion batteries, for example. Anything that runs on batteries are dependent on this rare earth mineral, and it's not going to get cheaper anytime soon unless we discover more of, lithium somewhere, like a meteor striking Earth. I don't know. This whole logic for a regular consumer product applies almost exactly the same way for content industry and creator economy. As I said, people talk about content too vaguely. A lot of confusion comes from treating all content as one big blob. A video is usually a bundle of different layers of value. It's just that different videos emphasize different layers, but every video has more than one layer. Let's break down a video the same way that we analyze a product and try to identify its bill of materials. There are 3 major layers, and I want you to more or less focus on the third one. But the first 2 are also really important because they complete the product analogy. 1. The production layer. Let's start with the basics. You need a camera, a microphone, proper lighting, a good computer for editing software, studio. Depending on your operation size, you need a videographer, a camera operator, video editor. We have all witnessed how over time our phones started replacing cameras and how our homes became our studios. Labor mostly got eliminated and software became really accessible, and owning a computer is just the norm, right? Now, we're witnessing how AI is making these things like editing, scripting, and thumbnail making less and less and less labor intensive every day. Things that we take granted every day, like object selection or generative fill, are 2 simple things that come to mind which would normally require Photoshop or After Effects skills in the past. It would have been so much easier if we had it in the past, but now it's just reduced to the click of a button. Since we can also now generate our own images, our video and audio using AI, our dependence on copyrighted stock media that you actually have to pay for is fading. Things like AI dubbing is slowly replacing having to actually hire a voice actor for somewhere between $15 to $60 a minute. It's crazy. 2. The distribution layer. We have YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, Twitter, Reddit, and a number of other sites where we can simply upload our content for it to be distributed to millions of people worldwide. We don't need to host content on our own servers and bulletin board forums anymore. AI takeover is happening within the algorithms that these platforms depend on. I will not get into how the algorithm is changing within this video, as it's a whole other can of worms in itself, and it definitely deserves its own dedicated episode. Which is a good time for me to remind you to subscribe to this channel to see more content like this. 3. Content layer. Content is a package of value you deliver to an audience through media. It is not just the information itself, but also how that information is selected, shaped, presented, and made meaningful or engaging. In other words, content is a combination of messages, delivery, and human perspective that gives people a reason to pay attention. Let's break the content layer down even further into sublayers. First sublayer is information. This is all the facts, the explanations, the research, the summaries, the instructions, and the how-tos. Now, if your main value is, I gather information, I present it clearly, I have some bad news for you. Information is the first to have become heavily commoditized, and it's not a winning battle. AI is very strong at explanation, summary, comparison, synthesis, and first-pass guidance. The answers most AI models give are simply good enough, and it's precisely the good enough that destroys standalone informational business. People have accepted AI as an answer machine very fast. Search engines saw this coming early though, because information itself became the battleground. Google understood the assignment perfectly, as evidenced with the early Bard model that now evolved into Gemini, and it's a really good model. Very recently, they rolled out the AI mode tab right on the search screen, right next to all, which I keep on accidentally clicking. It's really annoying me. This is also evidenced with the rapid demise of niche blogs that saw a revival right around the time of COVID. The SEO optimized blogs that would seemingly print money out of nowhere were so heavily punished with the advent of AI that it basically stopped being a viable source of income altogether within almost a 3-month period. Therefore, we can easily say that since audiences can receive the value on information elsewhere for faster, trying to bank on information alone is fighting a losing battle. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the battle is completely lost. You can still give information in your videos, just don't make it the only quality of the video. The way that you deliver information currently supersedes simply sharing the information. Think channels like Veritasium or Kurzgesagt, which make information delivery fun and entertaining. Second sublayer is compression. It's turning a messy topic into something digestible. It's the promise of saving the viewer's time. It's the, I did the reading for you, let me summarize, you know what I mean? I'm a millennial, through and through. Back in middle school and well into high school, when we were assigned books to read for literature class, I would rather get a hold of the movie adaptation and consume that for 2 hours rather than read it for a week. I'd rather spend the time playing, Counter-Strike 07 Beta or Red Alert or something like that. It was especially easy to find material on the classics, and the rest were mostly Nobel or Pulitzer Prize winners anyway, which for sure already had their movies made. Now, this form works especially well in short content. Have you ever come across TikTok accounts that go like, I've read all 26 Dune books so that you don't have to, and then they start sharing information about the topic at hand? I'm pretty sure that dude makes his research using AI and just posts snippets of information. The thing that makes it work is that once he's established his place as a dude who read all 26 Dune books, he doesn't have to give lengthy introductions about himself anymore, and the rest of the delivery can just ride on his established fame at that point, which is perfect for short form. So try to find a way to deliver as much information as possible in as small of a payload as possible. Don't oversaturate it though, that's not what I mean. Stay focused and on point and deliver value. Sprinkling edible gold on an already dense piece of chocolate will not make it more tasty, it just makes it more expensive for no good reason. Third layer is curation. It's choosing what matters and framing the angle and filtering the signal from the noise. It's picking the right information from the wrong. Blog posts, believe it or not, did it the best. 7 best this, 5 best that. Ranking and listing things is still a great way to deliver information. As a matter of fact, the tier listing videos always gather attention since it's curation wrapped in entertainment. But it's not just ranking, it's simply filtering bad outputs from the good. Before, AI used to hallucinate a lot. Now it does less so, but sometimes the answers it delivers may simply be inadequate advice, especially on subjective things that are too deeply entrenched in the human experience. For example, I have trouble managing my time. And I, together with a AI model, iterated on a better schedule with clear-cut principles. I've explained my situation as detailed as possible, defining my main problem as being the toll context switching costs takes on me. And at one point, AI gave me advice that matched exactly what I was already doing wrong up until that point. I am not alone in this, I know this as a fact. No matter how well you prompt, no matter how advanced the reasoning of the AI models get, they're still large language models at best, and they have their limits. I mean, I'm not sure this gap is gonna close anytime soon, but it's been lingering for a while. I might be wrong. Nevertheless, especially in things where one can attack the problem in multiple different ways, with each scaling differently in efficiency and human experience, filtering the top methods that are worth investing time in and delivering information on those has unspeakable value in itself. So find a way to do this in your niche and you'll be golden. Fourth sublayer is spectacle. Now, it's how you introduce the visual or narrative wow factor. Sometimes it's the big production value stuff like the big on-screen explosions and whatnot, right? But sometimes it's just the delivery of a story or the punchline of a joke. Now, visual spectacle is already something that has been lost to AI. For YouTube, this is more or less hits the core premise of a lot of VFX channels such as Corridor Crew and Rocket Jump, the latter of which just announced a comeback recently. The only wow factor that's left in what's visual is now hidden either in the context or in the medium. For context, what I mean is the deeper meaning in what's on display. I would definitely get shivers down my spine seeing attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion or sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. Leave a like if you got the reference. What we see should be deeply meaningful in some way for it to stand apart from what AI generates. Imagine the actual render of the black hole in Interstellar, developed together with the legendary physicist Kip Thorne, was done in the age of AI. I mean, we'd still be in awe of what we see on screen, but since there would not be any reference images for AI to replicate, the prompt would have been massive and very detailed, with actual research behind it. The spectacle would still retain the human-generated value though. And as for the medium, I'm more or less talking about the methodology of producing the visual spectacle. Practical effects will gain in popularity once again, I'm sure of it. The circumstances in which a visual effect is produced tangibly will once again be valuable, and I can give Oppenheimer as an example. So the advice that I can give you here is weigh and assess your visual spectacle moments, if you have any, in the lens of context and medium, and reap the rewards. The fifth sublayer is entertainment. I mean, the soft skills like humor and comedic timing, or like the thrill of competition or the tension of a horror movie, or straight out absurdity or silliness. Even serious videos depend on entertainment value more than that they admit. Remember the Veritasium and Kurzgesagt examples I've given before? When talking about the information sublayer, those are excellent examples in wrapping delivery entertainment. AI can certainly generate entertaining material, but it has not yet fully surpassed humans. Sustained entertainment still depends heavily on personhood. I mean, take comedy for instance. Compared to other forms of entertainment, the thing that makes something funny are so nuanced and so subjective. Even with all the amount of data AI trains itself on, it's not easy to formulate a single formula for what's universally funny. What can only happen is where AI impersonates an established comic, but even there, I have my doubts. The pacing and delivery of the late Norm Macdonald, for instance, I mean, how do you formulate that? On the other hand, any form of competition can be deemed entertaining. The prospect of a random person winning $1,000 for completing an insane challenge, for instance, is entertaining. It's the journey that we as humans empathize with, because we project ourselves going through the same journey. The key takeaway? Whatever you do, make it entertaining. Just make sure not to over-engineer the entertainment part, otherwise you'd risk sounding lame. Just go with the flow, but make it entertaining. Sixth, we have social as our sublayer. It's the bond that you form through your content, the empathy, the feeling of being understood that you invoke in your audience. It's the space you create with like-minded people. It's what you do with people's need of belonging somewhere. People yearn for a sense of community. We are social beings, trying to fit in this way or another. Even the most introverted person appreciates some company from time to time. It will require more than AI becoming sentient to become a viable replacement for your peers. It needs to grow a conscience and it needs to form empathy. And a big part of empathy lies in being able to feel what others would feel in certain situations. That's because feelings and emotions are mostly chemical processes and bodily responses. And unless AI is given an exact replica of the human body so that it can feel for itself, there won't be any reference point to draw from, hence no true empathy. Take mukbang for instance. I mean, nowadays the mukbang genre is more or less crossed into ASMR territory, but it first started out as a way for overworked and overburdened South Korean young adults to feel companionship during their meals. I'm serious. By watching someone else eat while they were dining by themselves felt just less lonely. Since dining is generally accepted to be a social event in Asian and Middle Eastern cultures, whether it be at home with family or outside with friends or colleagues, mukbang videos became a natural remedy for those who had no other choice but to dine alone. The thing that you can do to improve your content on this layer is very simple. Just interact with your audience. I mean, read comments, respond to them if you can, take advice for your next content, make them feel that you're basically listening. Social media is an interactive medium to begin with. I mean, utilize it to the fullest extent. The YouTube community tab is heavily underutilized, for instance. I mean, I don't see a lot of creators using it efficiently. You can also create membership tiers on your YouTube channel or use a relatively new subscription option on Instagram. I mean, streamers have been doing this for years, since nurturing their community and interacting with the live chat has always been their only method of maintaining sustainable viewership numbers. Newsletters is another great way to create community, and while the medium itself, as an email, is as old as the internet itself, it proves to be very efficient for some reason. I mean, I don't quite understand how, but it is what it is. I mean, I have seen a lot of Gen Z not being able to compose a correct email for business purposes, so it really makes me wonder. Lastly, there's a sublayer of authenticity. Well, yeah, we're right back at the dreaded word, but what does it mean though? I mean, I haven't fully answered that before. It's the feeling the audience gets from listening to the real point of view of a real person, with real texture, with real human presence. It's your unique take on something, the subjective, the opinions that have formed as a direct result of your years of exposure to this world, sculpted by your beliefs, your faith, your ideology. I mean, it's thoughts that you mobilize, it's trust that you extrude, and ultimately, it's the feelings of familiarity that you invoke. Even if your opinions are contrarian, it still feels familiar. I mean, there's familiarity in having an adversary who doesn't share your worldview, as much as having a peer who thinks exactly the same way as you do. A key takeaway from my years in influencer marketing and the creator economy has taught me that the reshare value of a short-term content, for instance, directly correlates with the familiarity audiences feel with the subject matter. It's the small jokes and sketches on marriage or having kids that married couples keep on sending each other with the note, hey, look, that's us, you know? I mean, I do that all the time with my wife. I mean, I sometimes sit next to my wife and show her something funny that I've seen on, Instagram or TikTok. I don't know if she likes it or not. It's a slice of life things that feel so relatable that you have to share with your peers to elevate their mood through invoking shared memories. It's the joke that hits so close home that you crave the need to share it with your best buddy because you know it's gonna make them laugh. I mean, just recall the feeling of being able to understand a certain reference, right? For instance, I'm half Austrian and I have a natural affinity with Viennese culture and anything Austrian, right? That's due to my upbringing and my family ties. I mean, German is literally my mother tongue and I have a distinct Austrian accent. I recently found myself sending my sister sketches from Austrian Instagram accounts where the thick Viennese accent and mannerisms is part of the punchline. It's my guilty pleasure really, but it's the familiarity that it makes me feel, you know? The minute you truly understand that people do not only consume content for information, you win. A lot of media value is really relationship value in disguise. People like having a person to return to. They like a familiar filter through which the world is explained. The person now becomes part of the product. So let's review our options on how to stay relevant and valuable in the AI era. Treat content like a product with multiple layers of value and try to improve upon each value separately for a compounding effect. Analyze which parts of your content are replaceable and which parts are still defensible. Stop building your whole value proposition on raw information. Your value proposition should not be built on information alone. You can still be informative, don't get me wrong, but that cannot be the whole pitch. Use AI as labor, not identity. It's good for research. I mean, it's good for outlining, cleanup, organizing, and speed. It's a near perfect tool, but it's bad as a substitute for your whole mind and voice. Just draw the line there. Package information in a way that adds value beyond the facts. Make it more engaging, more entertaining, more memorable, or more human. Get better at compression. Turn messy, overwhelming topics into tight, useful, digestible payloads. Save the viewer time and mental effort. Get better at curation. Filter signal from the noise. Identify the best methods, the best ideas, and the best angles. Do not rely on spectacle alone. Visual wow factor is no longer the safe moat. If you use spectacle, make sure it has deeper meaning. Make your content entertaining, even if it's informative. Even serious content performs better when it's enjoyable to consume. Do not over-engineer the entertainment though. Lean into the social layer of content. Build a sense of belonging by making people feel seen, understood, and included. Interact with your audience more or use community building tools more actively. And most importantly, be authentic. Make your unique perspective more visible. Create hooks of familiarity. Understand that the person behind the content matters, and it will start mattering even more. Remember, the goal is not to outmachine the machine. The goal is to become more distinctively useful as a person. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel if you're into the creator economy and seek a companion to be on your side when trying to navigate this wild industry. And until next time, goodbye. I chose Vaporwave and Synthwave as a look and feel of this video because, the concept of AI just feels so cyberpunk to me, right? And yeah, I try to switch up a little bit for every video that I do, and hope you guys like it.